Hello, Gemini friends. I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my Gemini December 2025 Astrology Horoscope Forecast. A very exciting month where a ton of energy is occurring in Sagittarius, your polarity sign. Also, we've got a full moon in your sign, so lots to talk about with wrapping up this year. This report is for you if Gemini is your sun sign, your moon sign or rising sign, or any other Gemini placement you're listening for. What I'm going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. Very late degree Gemini friends, so birthdays like June 15th through the rest of the sign, or Gemini placements 23 degrees through the rest of the sign, I suggest you additionally listen to my Cancer report, as you very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. Okay, I have a theme of the month for our title here, but of course the possibilities of this month go way beyond what we can encapsulate in one sentence. But I'm calling this time the honest conversation that changes everything. And you will see me point back to very important communications occurring at this time and very important relationship experiences. And we'll look at many different levels of that. Two admin notes before we dive into the astrological weather this month so that you can be properly prepared. One is that if you don't know me already, hi, I'm Annie Botticelli. I'm an astrologer, I'm a teacher, and I have been doing astrology for over 23 years. I've been a teacher for almost that time. I have an astrology school, an astrology podcast, my YouTube, a book, and blogs. So I'm all about astrology and all about helping you understand not just what may happen, but why. So jump along on the Annie train here. We're going to go through a lot of information. And if you want even more information, I will give you some important dates. But if you want my complete list, grab your free star report, monthly star report for December with my sweet and salty dates. So the best of the best and the worst of the worst aspects this month of what to do and what to do with them. You can grab that at anniehelpsyou.com. Also, if you have been wanting to learn astrology and you resonate with how I teach, you will want to grab thousands of dollars in free promos. Almost every promo that I've ever given is going to be given in this one concentrated time when you register for my Astrology Mastery Certification course for my Epic Black Friday promo. So if you want to learn astrology, either to help yourself, your family, your friends, and or learn to do this professionally to earn money, it won't take you very long to earn back your investment in this course. So you can check all that out at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. Okay, so let's get into it. The general mood of the month is very Sagittarian-led. Mercury will get into Sag soon in the month. Venus, the Sun, Lilith, Mars, Juno, and in the days around December 19th, the new moon at 28 degrees. Massive amount of showing of Sagittarius energy. This is bringing ebullience, starry expansion. This is bringing optimism. This is bringing excess, and this is bringing excitement and enthusiasm, upliftment. Very, very, very busy time. We've got a lot of energy of the upward spiral this month, both with that full moon at the beginning of the month and all the Sag placements throughout. You're familiar with that upward spiral. That's your general energetic as well. So that's partly you have your opposing sign Sagittarius, and you're both mutable, going in an upward spiral. So you're all over the place. Geminis and Sagittarius, taking in information, putting them out, getting stuff done, a little here, a little there, piecemealing, but eventually bringing things up to speed. Okay, so it will be like that this month. Lots of options, lots of opportunities, lots of social opportunities, whether you want them or not, and a massive amount of focus on relationships, because all of those Sagittarius placements I mentioned are dancing through your 7th house of Libra as a Gemini, and that is your relationship sector. So I want to talk a little bit about what this can look like with all of these different placements here, okay? So just some quick summaries. When the Sun is here, there's some elucidation, some brightness going on. Your relationships are mirroring your growth. Your partnerships are revealing where there's balance and where truth must align. They can show you, like when the Sun is there, it's like a giant spotlight. So this can show you what needs to be fixed. Like in a bright light in a dark room, you can see paint that's chipping or old cobwebs. And that bright light can show you what needs to be fixed in your relationship space. But it can also give a beautiful light to what is already great. So an easier time to have gratitude and to focus and enhance your relationship space. Venus is here. This can bring financial blossoming to relationship-based businesses or collaborations. This can also bring love, romance, and harmony to your relationship space. If you're looking for new love, the second half of the month may even be brighter for that. We'll talk about this timeline more. But as of December 17th, we're free from the personal planet retrograde of Mercury, opening into our last open window free from personal planet retrogrades of the year, and the first one for the new year, December 17th through February 12th. This is a time when the tides are going out. If you follow my tidal analogy, I always talk about how when we've got a personal planet retrograde like Mercury, Mars, or Venus, and that is like the tides are going in. So we've got to wait on the shore and just see what comes to us. So you'll see some of that left over still in the early part of December, where it's better to not try to force too much to happen. Just sort of see what needs to be dealt with, clear up the unfinished business. Then as the month progresses, those tides will switch. Technically they switch November 29th when Mercury turns direct, but it takes a little while in sort of this still lull until they really start going out. The tides start going out, okay? And when the tides go out, the second half of the month, that is, and until February 12th, so all of January, all until February 12th, that is an amazing time to do something very important. Big purchases, big sales, big decisions, enrollments in, education, bringing out your book, your teaching, launching some lifelong, work, doing something, a great event, a party, travel, something that requires not having a ruckus from Mercury retrograde, which it can bring a lack of clarity. And you don't have that as of the second half of the month. Big investments, big purchases, all of those things can be very, very well set up in the second half of the month. So, because that's all new energy. So if you're looking for love and you're looking for a new person, the second half of the month may carry more positive energy, whether it's new clients or whether it's a business partner, whether it's a romantic context. You will see the second half of the month light up with newness. The first half of the month is still kind of getting more benefit from going back to old friends, marketing to people who you've already met in your contact list, reconnecting with people, having blasts from the past, going back over issues in your relationships before you burst into the new scene. Then we've got Mars bringing passion, motivation, and, as I always like to call, the border collie of the zodiac, bringing a lot of obsessive focus into your relationship space. Moving through Sagittarius, it's going to bring a lot of obsessive focus to teaching and learning and international travel and international business and cultures and languages and expansion and spiritual pursuits. Mars can also bring challenges in the form of, it's the god of war, right? So could bring, some ego flares. And we do have this opposition between Gemini and Sag. So it's complementary, but there are some opposing forces that sometimes can, feel like opposing forces, like one thing is going one way, one thing is going the other way. But Mars is helping you to focus on this. So if there are any issues, it will help you have the ambitions to move through them and the energy. And if there aren't, it can help you have passion to heat up these interactions in a good way with positive sparks flying. There could be debate, there could be desire, there could be daring honesty, and that's one of the placements that's bringing us to this idea of honest conversations. Mercury joining this party is bringing those communications, those conversations, and the seventh house is the relationship space. So, love conversations, money conversations, general issues, places where you've had challenges, those kind of things are coming up, and that honest discussion can actually change everything at this time. With Mercury there, conversations can definitely become catalysts for the truth. That with also the full moon at the beginning of the month, the first week of the month, we'll get back to that, but I just want to factor it in. Gemini rules communication, something being elucidated through the full moon, so conversations can become these catalysts for truth. And communication, especially this month, can redefine relationship dynamics. And that is what is at play. It's you versus other people, me versus we, as I like to call this polarity. We also have Juno here. Juno is a natural ruler of the seventh house. She's a star goddess that we don't often hear about. We hear about Venus ruling the seventh house. Well, so does Juno. Juno, also known as Hera, wife of Zeus, wife of Jupiter, depending on the Roman or Greek names you're using, rules this relationship space as she is a guardian of close relationships. And her here is also adding to this commitment, this expansion, this desire for mutual freedom. And this is a huge topic to come up this month. And this may be one of the raw honesty discussions. The level of freedom in certain arenas in your relationship space, be it work, be it social, be it friendships, be it partnerships, be it romantic. There is the topic of adventure. And that may be happening, with someone else. There's the topic of freedom and autonomy, and that may be coming up in a strong way. And you may need to have the conversation about how to have more freedom within your relationship while also being able to anchor into your commitments. Also, you can focus this month very strongly on commitments that are getting expanded through mutual vision. This is really bringing out this idea of authentic partnerships. And to support that storyline, we've got Lilith, raw truth and freedom, testing relationships. And there can be liberation that comes through honesty from the conversations that happen now. And this need for some liberation in some ways may become non-negotiable. So you're breaking out of something, and the Sagittarius energy is assisting you in that through these conversations, through taking the time to explore creative solutions, which Sagittarius is known for. Okay, so the topic of conversation is going to be very strong throughout the month. First of all, as Mercury, which rules Gemini, which rules communication as well, as he gets his footing and things become more clear, this can open things up. What once was confusing can definitely shift, and perspectives can shift. And the full moon in the days around December 4th is also going to be a hot spot for this. So the first week of the month, the days building up to the 4th, a few days after the 4th, we've got the full moon, 13 degree of Gemini. Usually only get one full moon unless there's a blue moon, which this is not. But it is a super moon. This is our third in a series of 3 super moons in a row. Very full, even more elucidating, closer to the earth, may look bigger. Gravitational forces could be expanded. So, this is your one full moon that you're getting in the moon cycle, and it's a big one. This is really important, and this has to do with writing projects, speaking, important conversations. This has to do with your relatives, aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters. And then specifically for Geminis, this is lighting up your first house, which is the Aries house. So this is putting the spotlight directly onto you. So you're coming to a conclusion and then a subsequent new beginning of this cycle of self-discovery. So this self-discovery is reaching this climax, this end point, until the next cycle begins. So your identity, your appearance, your personal direction may undergo this visible shift. There could be something with your physical body, wellness, health. There could be something having to do with a breakthrough moment, again, for authenticity. These questions that are being asked now are the raw truth of who you are. Getting that sorted out within yourself and communicating that to others. And there's a lot of power around this, a lot of power for manifestation of the things that you want also when you do your full moon. I call them reveal and release ceremonies, where you're asking for the things that are blocking you to be released so you can clear them. So this is a very powerful time, especially for Geminis. Contracts may come into this equation. Just remember, until December 17th, you're still kind of in this cloudy Mercury thing. So if you can develop a bridge agreement, if it's earlier in the month, or kind of agree that you're in an evolutionary flow of, or basically you're evolving the discussions and evolving the contract over the upcoming weeks. Because if you make a commitment earlier in the month, you may realize very quickly that there wasn't enough wiggle room, there wasn't a caveat for your particular situation, or something is changing. So just kind of be aware of that as contracts come up, because they very likely will. That you'll want to keep a little wiggle room, you'll want to keep some loose wording and, some flexibility, or a short-term contract to bridge you over into this better window for contracts, which is December 17th through February 12th. And it is a great time for contracts in that window. Now, everyone will see and have the power of this full moon in that first week of the month, but those of you closest to 13 degrees, and we'll do a 5-degree range in either direction. So that's going to be like birthdays the last couple of days of May into like the first 10 or 11 days of June or so, and the closer to the third, these dates are going to be roundabouts, given a few days in either direction because the sun doesn't move into Gemini on the same day every year. So that's why we have to leave a few days around these dates, and I'm giving it a 5-degree orb. But basically the end of May into the first third or so of June, you may see more notable outcomes from this full moon because of the proximity to your placement. But that doesn't mean that the power is not available for everyone, because it is. I mentioned earlier that this is going to be a very strongly social month, and that is definitely true. Some other factors that are that we have to take into consideration also is that we've got some long-term Aries energy. We've got Ceres moving through Aries, making trines, best possible aspect with these Sag placements. Very, very exciting communication that's going on in the stars that is easy and in the perfect element. Speaking the same language. And this language is also speaking a language that air understands. Air and fire are complementary energies. And this lights up the energy of autonomy, which is the sign of Aries, which of course this first house is ruled by Aries. So this topic of individual expression within relationship is really, really coming up very strongly at this time. And you'll be asking very important questions and getting some things resolved, and could have that honest conversation that changes everything. Something else that's tying in here is friendships and your friendship groups and being part of something bigger than yourself, and networking. So you may find that key friendships or key events where you interact with others may hold the key to your autonomy or solving a problem within your relationship space, whether it's business or personal. As the month progresses, these Sag planets will join Vesta and Astrea in Capricorn, and that's going to help bring the big visions of Sagittarius into form, into discipline, into discernment. So as the month progresses, it will be easier to ground out this crazy energy. And it is excessive, so you do have to be careful with it, because it could throw balance off immensely, and anything that you're doing excessively could result in it being too much. So just really watch that. But as the month progresses, you'll see it ground into Capricorn, into action, preparing for this new year that will not have a shadow of a personal planet being retrograde, this new year that will feel like a new year. We're starting to build to it. You're wrapping up these loose ends. You're getting really discerning within your relationship space, again, because the 8th house is the next relationship space after Libra. We've got 2 of them. This is more complicated relationships, ones with money and contracts that are very deep and binding, spousal money, government money, loans, things that you are contractually bound, usually for a long time, inheritances, all of these things, taxes, credit, debt, investments. So you're starting to ground some big ideas into this mega deep money sector. And as the month progresses, as we get out of the Mercury shadow, as the Sag starts to ground more into Capricorn, you'll be able to ground yourself more, which will be very, very helpful. And of course, as always, Geminis really have to guard your respiratory system. Gemini does rule the respiratory tract, and at times when there's this Gemini expansion through the full moon and then all of this Sag energy or polarity energy, it's really making you burn the candle at both ends of it. So, your respiratory tract will be under more distress, and you may have to be more careful. But you will notice as the month goes on that you are ready to start to make these New Year's resolutions or New Year's intentions, or to settle down from the excess and get a plan together to clean up any messes you made from it, or, start to get really organized for the year to come and get some good systems in place that will help you get your perfect job, help you have your perfect relationships. Well, nothing is perfect in this world, right? But it's perfect, divinely perfect, as good as it can possibly be in its highest expression. And your close financial relationships, all of those things, your health, all of that is wanting to have some attention, direction, and a strategy. The strategy is very, very important at this time. And that's going to be what develops as the month goes on. And that story is going to continue into January. So the new moon is a wonderful reset time. It's a time when new beginnings. In relationship space, basically a fresh cycle is beginning in partnership, and those new alliances, the new contracts, the heartfelt reconnections take root. So just remember the days around the 19th that is happening. All Geminis have equal chance to utilize this new moon. There may be something extra special or notable about it for those of you at the very end. So the birthdays that are on the Cancer cusp, so like June 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and there you will get the exact opposition of that new moon, kind of tying it into a mathematical connection where it may hold something extra notable for you. So I've given you some very important dates. If you want my full, free, monthly written star report, it's very comprehensive. That will give you all the sweet and salty dates. You can grab that free report at anniehelpsyou.com. If you want personalized reports to see what is up in 2026 for you for these long-term outer planet transits that really have a lot of weight in your life, go to anniebclarity.com, Annie the letter B, clarity.com. And if you want to learn astrology, there has not been a better time for you to join my course at beastropro.com, beastropro.com, to cash in on thousands of dollars of epic Black Friday promos for this very short amount of time from the time I launch these reports on November 20th through the end of November. I hope you have a wonderful month wrapping up 2025 and getting ready for 2026. I hope you have a wonderful end of your year, and I will see you next month, and I'll see you next year. Bye for now.